Hey everybody, welcome to my channel. Today I'm going to answer a question, another one, that is asked so often on my channel about crossing peppers. So many people have tried crossing peppers outdoor without much success. And the reason for that is because sometimes outside the condition is too extreme or it's not right for the peppers and they won't take. So every time you try it, the pepper flower will fall off and then you get nothing as a result. So the trick that I usually do to give me the most success is to grow them in very little containers. And when you grow them in little containers here, you can move them around and it's easy to work with. And when it is too hot, like I live in Texas, the weather can get up to like 100 degrees Fahrenheit and above. So when that happens, I take these little containers and I move them into a spot where it's nice and cool and shaded so that the peppers will not burn. Also, when I cross them, I also move them into a shaded area so that there is just not too much heat that would cause the pods to fall. Heat would do so many things to your pepper. For example, one is that it would dry out the soil very quickly, and if you don't have a way to constantly keep the soil moist, then potentially the plant would drop flowers. So if you have a drip irrigation that you can put on a timer, that will reduce the amount of stress and the flowers will stick more. But if you don't have access to any of those, then I suggest growing them in a small container where you can move them around. And you may be wondering if growing them in a small container would cause the fruits to be different. Actually, no, because even with a small container, the fruit size could be exactly the same as the large container. And here is an example. This one here is a 2-liter container and the fruits are just enormous. And I will show you another plant of the exact variety in a larger container, and even then the fruits are not even the size of this. So usually if there are too many fruits like this variety here, then the fruit size may be smaller, but also it depends on variety, because as you can see, this variety doesn't produce very large fruits. So even if it produced a ton of fruits, the size would still be, consistent and small. But some, like these here, if you let them produce too much, then the fruit size may be smaller. So let's go ahead and go take a look at a larger plant of the same variety, and you can see the difference in the fruit size. Okay, here it is. I brought the plant with me so I can show you, and here is the exact variety. And as you can see, the fruits are not very much different. They're about the same, except maybe this is even bigger because I don't allow too many fruits to be on there. As opposed to this, there's fruit everywhere and they're more coming out. So this is a 10-gallon, you see. So fruit size really is not a factor when you grow in small container. So you can do this to increase your chances of cross-pollination to create a hybrid. So let me show you some examples. Okay, here are some examples of some of the varieties that I have already done. You see? So do a few. That way it's better to have success when you have a bunch, because 1 or 2 may not work and then you get more. Also, doing a few gives you more variations, because the seed from this one could potentially be different from the seed from that one. So you can grow a bunch of them out to see which one you like the best, and then select that to grow forward into your future generation. You see, this one already produced an actual fruit right there, so that one is a success. And here is some more. I did a few, and then I did some right here and some right here. And also a trick that I used that worked for me is that when I use these plastic bags, I cut the bottom as well. You see here? That way it would allow air to get in and out, and doesn't heat up the flower and that would also alleviate some of the excessive heat that is stored in the bag, and then the flower will fall. So try that method out, guys, and grow them in small containers. The advantage of small container is that you can move them around. Also, because they're in smaller container, they produce earlier as well. So that will give you a faster chance of doing this when it is not too crazy hot. So let me show you the process so that you can see exactly what I'm doing. Or you can go to a more detailed video that I did in the past on how to hybridize peppers or cross peppers or whatever you call it. So here we go. Okay, we will start with collecting pollen. And when you collect pollen, use a black container, because if you use a black container, it's easier to see the pollen in the container so that you can use it easily. And all you do is go to the flower and tap like this, and the pollen will fall into the plastic container or a spoon. And if you can see that there is pollen in there, see, at that area right there, and that is usually how I collect the pollen. Okay, next what you're going to do is, you see, take your little plant in a little pot that has flowers right here. See, because the pot is small, it's easy for you to work with and move it around, and this is a great way to increase your success. So we're going to select a flower that is like a globe. It looks like a globe. It's bulb right here, but it's not quite opened yet. See, this one here will not work because flowers, because peppers are a self-pollinator. So when you shake it like this, the pollen will drop, and it will pollinate the stigma, and that flower is no good anymore because it's already been pollinated. So you want to use a flower that is closed, because if it's closed, that means the pollen is not ready yet, and it will not pollinate itself because as I mentioned, the pollen is not ready. So use those. These here are too young. See, those are not ready. You can't use those. You have to pick something like this, or a little slightly bigger. As long as it's not opened, you're good to use it. So let's go ahead and I'll show you what to do. Okay, we're going to begin the process. And as I mentioned earlier, you see those pollen right there? That's what I collected for my other plant. And you can see it clearly. And now you can use either a tweezer or this utensil here. And you're going to take the flower, and then you're going to cut away the outside, and also the parts that hold the pollen as well. Take all those out, and then you can leave the stigma, which is the center part. You see? So that is the part that is left. So now you're going to get your pollen right here, and you're going to rub that part onto the right here with the pollen. And then that is it. And next you're going to do is take your bag, and you want to cut away the end. That way it can open on both ends. You see? And now this would allow heat to escape. If you don't have this, you can also use like a string to tie your your flower as well, and that would work. I like these bags because I can write on them. And that is it, guys. That is how easy it is to cross-pollinate, to make a new variety. And I have one right here that already became a fruit, so that should be one that I can grow from pretty soon. But yeah, that's how it is. I do it outside, so guys, try it out. And if you have success, then let me know. And also, if you would like, you can comment below and see and tell me what you're working on. That's it, guys. Thanks so much for watching. Please like, comment, and subscribe.